The date is Saturday, November 21st, 1998, and the drama in today's games is unparalleled. This is the most dramatic video I've made so far, so I'll get to the league table in a second, but just to quickly go through, we've got Aston Villa, top of the table, unbeaten, yet to lose in 12 games, hosting Liverpool, who were all over the place. We'll come on to that in a second. Blackburn, who are 19th, under Roy Hodgson, this is 3 years on from winning the title. They host Southampton, who are bottom of the table, so massive game there. We've got Leeds, Charlton, Leicester, Chelsea, Middlesbrough, Coventry, Sheffield Wednesday host Manchester United, Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, and in Wimbledon versus Arsenal. So looking at the table, as I just mentioned, Villa, 6 goals conceded, 18 goals scored, 28 points from 12 games. Incredible record. 3 points ahead of Manchester United. Arsenal also up there, Chelsea and Leeds. Chelsea have got 2 games in hand over Arsenal. Bottom half, Liverpool, 11th place. They've lost 5 games already. Gerard Houllier is now the sole manager. He was joint manager with Roy Evans, but Roy Evans has just gone. So Gerard Houllier is still looking for his first win in sole charge. And further down the table, as I mentioned, Blackburn in 19th place. Roy Hodgson, who just a few months earlier was being linked with the England job, is now under massive pressure to turn the results around. They host Southampton. We're going to look at the team news from that game in a second, but first of all, let's look at Aston Villa versus Liverpool. We'll do 2 lots of team news and then get straight to the games. So Aston Villa versus Liverpool. This is the Aston Villa team that is dominating English football right now. Gareth Southgate is the captain. Gareth Barry, a young left centre-back in a 5-3-2 formation here. Up front, Stan Collymore, former Liverpool player, alongside Dion Dublin. And then Liverpool, we've got David James in goal. Jamie Carragher's in defence, Jamie Redknapp's in there, Paul Ince, Patrick Berger, and then Michael Owen. This is a few months after his goal against Argentina. He's still only 18 years old at this point, and he's joined in attack by a prime Robbie Fowler. So Liverpool, despite their league position, do have a lot of quality still in the team. Unfortunately, Blackburn and Southampton do not have a lot of quality, so this is 3 years on from Blackburn's title win, and a lot of their star players from that time are just not there anymore. Tim Sherwood's still there in midfield, but apart from that, there's not a lot of quality. And in looking at Southampton, there's no Letitia in this team, but they do have Carlton Palmer in midfield. They've got Oakley, they've got James Beattie, Egerlostenstad, but it's no surprise, with all due respect, if any of these players are watching all these years later, it's no surprise that these 2 teams are at the bottom of the table. So let's go to the games. 2 minutes in, Liverpool are 1-0 up already against Aston Villa with Paul Ince scoring. And then Southampton go 1-0 up in that massive game at the bottom of the table. Oakley after 4 minutes. And then Robbie Fowler scores. So it's already Aston Villa 0, Liverpool 2, just 7 minutes in. And then in the 14th minute, Sheffield Wednesday go 1-0 up against Manchester United. Alexanderson scoring. And it's Leicester 0, Chelsea 1. Gianfranco Zola scores. And just a minute later, Andy Cole equalises for Manchester United at Hillsborough. And then Leeds go 1-0 up. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank scoring there against Charlton. Not mentioned Leeds much, but they're doing well in this season. Chelsea are now 2-0 up. Gus Poyet scores, so Leicester 0, Chelsea 2. But then Muzzy Izzet scores. What an 11 minutes here. Andy Cole, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Gus Poyet, Muzzy Izzet. And that takes us up to half-time. So a little roundup of where we're at the moment. Aston Villa 0, Liverpool 2. Massive upset on the cards there, considering the league positions. Blackburn 0, Southampton 1. Huge pressure on Roy Hodgson here. Leeds 1, Charlton 0, Leicester 1, that Muzzy Izzet goal, Chelsea 2, and then it's Middlesbrough 0, Coventry 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Man United 1, and it's still goalless, Tottenham versus Forest, and Wimbledon versus Arsenal. So straight to the second half, let's carry on with the games, so you can see that Muzzy Izzet goal just before half-time, and we have a red card for Nottingham Forest. So that's Tottenham versus Nottingham Forest. Steve Stone is off. That is in the 46th minute. So Forest have to play 44 minutes plus added time with just 10 men against Tottenham. And a minute later, Aston Villa pull a goal back. Dion Dublin scores against Liverpool. Leeds 2, Charlton 0, Lee Bowyer against his former club. And then Sheffield Wednesday are 2-1 up against Manchester United. So an upset on the cards there. And then Leicester 1, Chelsea 3. Tor-Andre Flo scoring the goal. And it's also 3-1 at Villa Park. Fowler has scored again. So that's his second of the game. Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 3. Gerard Houllier on course for his first win in sole charge. Tottenham against 10-man Nottingham Forest are now 1-0 up. Chris Armstrong with the goal. And Steve Guppy pulls one back for Leicester against Chelsea. So it's now Leicester 2, Chelsea 3. And these games are basically identical. I've only just noticed this, but it's now Aston Villa 2, Liverpool 3. Dion Dublin scoring another goal for Aston Villa. And then Charlton pull one back against Leeds. Paul Mortimer scoring. So it's now Leeds 2, Charlton 1, and it's Aston Villa 2, Liverpool 4, Robbie Fowler hat-trick, That's his third of a game. Michael Owen is the man everyone's talking about, but Fowler is still a goal-scoring machine at this point. And in the same minute, Middlesbrough make it 1-0 against Coventry, Gordon scoring. And then Alan Smith, the up-and-coming academy graduate, scores for Leeds, 3-1 now to them against Charlton. And it looks like Villa are on course for their first defeat of the season against Liverpool, and things have just got even worse because Stan Collymore has shoved Michael Owen and got himself a red card. So Collymore is off, Villa down to 10 men, and they're trailing 4-2 against Liverpool. And at White Hart Lane it's 2-0 now to Tottenham against Nottingham Forest, 10-man Nottingham Forest after that Steve Stone red card, Nielsen scoring. And Sheffield Wednesday are now 3-1 up against Manchester United, Alexanderson scoring his second of the game. And another major shock is on the cards. Wimbledon 1, Arsenal 0, Efan Okoku with the goal, so Arsenal are losing, Manchester United are losing, Aston Villa top of the table, they're also losing, and in Middlesbrough against Coventry, Hamilton Ricard scoring, and Leeds, Harry Kewell making it 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers for Leeds today, and then Southampton have scored again, so Blackburn are in absolute turmoil here, they're about to go bottom of the table. And then in added time, I told you that this Aston Villa-Liverpool game was basically identical to Leicester-Chelsea, and it is, because now it's 4-2 in that game too. Chelsea have another, Gianfranco Zola, with his second of the day, and it's full-time. Leicester 2, Chelsea 4, Wimbledon 1, Arsenal 0, and let's go to all the full-time. So it's Aston Villa 2, Liverpool 4, Stan Collymore getting sent off, 2 goals for Dion Dublin, hat-trick for Robbie Fowler, Blackburn 0, Southampton 2, massive pressure on Roy Hodgson, Leeds 4, Charlton 1, 4 different goal scorers for Leeds, Leicester 2, Chelsea 4, 2 goals for Gianfranco Zola, Middlesbrough beat Coventry 2-0, Sheffield Wednesday, huge shock there, beat Manchester United 3-1, and then on the third page, Tottenham 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Steve Stone getting sent off, and then that winner for Efan Okoku, Wimbledon 1, Arsenal 0. But the big story of the day is this, breaking, Roy Hodgson has been sacked. Blackburn have parted company with manager Roy Hodgson after losing 2-0 at home to Southampton. I think it's harsh to put sole blame on Roy Hodgson, but at the end of the day, results speak louder than words, and we have not been getting them, said Blackburn captain Tim Sherwood. Blackburn fans ironically chanted Hodgson for England towards the end of today's game. So Hodgson is out. Any talk of him ever getting the England job is dead at this point. He is a laughingstock. He's not going to get this England job. Definitely not in 98 or ever, based on how this Blackburn team has been performing. So we'll finish with the table. Aston Villa remain top, despite losing. Man United are second despite losing. Arsenal are third despite losing, so the top 3 all lost. Chelsea won, Leeds won, and Middlesbrough won, so they sort of close in on the title challengers. And then Liverpool are now up to 9th place with that win. Wimbledon up to 8th place as well. And then at the bottom of the table, we just have to go to 20th place Blackburn. 9 points from 14 games, 9 defeats in that time. Roy Hodgson's gone. They're in absolute turmoil, and then Southampton leapfrogged them into 19th place. And that rounds up the day. A very dramatic day in the Premier League. So that was the football news on Saturday, November the 21st, 1998. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like the Premier League in the 1990s, the making of modern football. It's available now on Amazon and in the description, or you can click inside that television set for another classic football story.